Welcome to Let's Talk. I'm Denise Rolark Barnes, your host, and I'm joined today by Prince George's County newly elected county executive, Aisha Braveboy, who is a dedicated public servant with a strong track record from state delegate to state's attorney, and now she's leading one of Maryland's most diverse and dynamic counties. We're going to talk about her plans, her vision, and the future for Prince George's County. This is my first opportunity, County Executive Braveboy, to say congratulations.
Thank you so much, Denise. It's great to be here with you.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm very excited and glad that you hit the ground running. But I think you knew you were running before you ran. You knew what you were headed into. And so I want to ask, as you take office, have you established sort of what some of your goals are for the first 100 days?
Oh, absolutely. Well, first, to unify Prince George's County, to make sure that all of the elected officials, in particular the county council, the school board, myself, our state delegation, that we're all aligned. And the good news is that we are. And the great news is that our federal partners are also aligned with us, along with our governor. So I wanted to ensure that we had a united front as Prince George's County. We've been through a lot of elections recently. And so ensuring that the people know that while elections might be going on, that we are focused on serving them is, I think, a very important and strong message to send. We also wanted to establish, which we have, our motto for our administration, which is to elevate Prince George's County. There are a lot of great things that are going on, a lot of great things that prior administrations have done, but we need to take it to the next level. And so by elevating the work of our county, we believe we'll deliver better services to our residents. We started with Project Elevate, our street beautification initiative, which really enhances our output from our Department of Public Works, primarily, and some from our Department of Permits, Inspections, and Enforcement as well, where we are looking at beautifying our streets, making sure that our roads are clean, that the grass is mowed, that the trees are trimmed back, that we're responding to the 311 complaints coming in from residents who unfortunately have to look at, unsightly scenic views in their neighborhoods and byways. We want to clean that all up, and so we are doing a really good job of addressing those issues now. In addition to that, we're going to be focusing on assisting our business community, especially those who manage and run shopping centers, assist them in understanding the Project Elevate initiative, and their support for this initiative would be extremely helpful because a lot of our residents go to shopping centers within the county, and we want those shopping centers to be clean and beautiful and trash to be picked up. So we look forward to engaging our business partners so that they can become a part of our initiative, our larger initiative. But so far, we have seen really good results. Next, we will be turning to our business community. We have a huge focus on doing business with the people of Prince George's County. In fact, my motto is it's good business to do business with the people of Prince George's County. So we are looking at ways to expand contracting opportunities to local businesses. And we have a phenomenal new procurement director who has a lot of federal experience. She's bringing that experience here to local government so that we can be more effective in engaging with our minority business community, our women business owners, our veteran business owners, and those who, of course, reside here in the county. Because we know that when their businesses are doing well, we're helping to not only grow their business, but also diversify our economic base. And so we're excited about being able to do that as well.
One of the things that I think leaders like yourself always have the challenge of, while you're doing great work, you're working on behalf of your constituents. You're trying to improve the quality of life, but there are always those issues that sort of overshadow the work that you're doing, and you have some big challenges. You know, housing is one of those challenges. Public safety, again, is one of those challenges. So, with all the things that you're doing, how do you establish priorities, and what is sort of at the top? Maybe the top three things on your list. I mean, it talks about beautification and shopping centers and business with small businesses, but how are you prioritizing issues on your agenda?
Well, everything is a priority, and that's why we have agencies. We have agency directors. We have deputy chief administrative officers who are overseeing those agencies, and we have, of course, the CAO who works along with me to ensure that the agencies are meeting expectations. So the reality is, in government, you can't choose one or two things because that means that other things aren't a priority. So what I would say is that everything's a priority. We will highlight those areas as we move forward to show the work that we are doing. So we started with the Department of Public Works and Transportation, but with respect to public safety, something I have a lot of experience with.
Yes, you
I mean, we are down in every major category of crime. We have seen decreases, and so we want to continue to show our residents that we are employing the correct strategies to keep crime down in Prince George's County. We have some new public safety leaders, and they are working very collaboratively together. All of them came up through the ranks of the Prince George's County Police Department or fire services. And so they all kind of know each other, and they're working together as a family. One of the things we had not done previously is really develop a very strong relationship with our municipal police departments. And that's something that we are focusing on now, because our municipal police, they are responsible for about 30% of the population here in Prince George's County. They patrol about 30% of our streets. And so working with them more effectively, we think we can drive down crime even more. So public safety will always be important. Education's important. Getting it right is important. You know, there was a lot of back and forth between our superintendent, our prior superintendent, and our teachers. There was a disagreement over the teacher's contract that I think was a distraction for our school system and for our education process. We now have a new interim superintendent who has already come to a preliminary agreement with our teachers to move their contract forward, and which is great. And he has put together a 100-day plan, which the Board of Education has bought into. And we're moving forward as a unified county in the best interest of our children and families to ensure that our next generation of leaders have the best educational system possible, and that these distractions between adults don't get in the way of us providing the best services to our children. So I think on the education front, we are on the right track. Public safety, we're doing a great job. Economic development is something that obviously I have to focus on because of some of the recent decisions at the federal level.
Oh, yeah, I was
as
going to
well
ask you about that. Yes, from the FBI to
as the
all the
commanders and Six
Six
Flags.
Flags. Yes.
In particular, I look at Six Flags as a huge opportunity for us, although it would be, you know, it's sad to see an iconic kind of establishment leave our area. The reality was Six Flags is a seasonal venue,
Yeah.
which provides good jobs for young people, but it's seasonal. And so they have about 70 full-time jobs, and generates about 3 to 3.5 million annually in terms of tax revenue for the county. And that's great. But sitting on 500 acres, we think that we can get a better tax use and benefit out of that property. And so while, again, we are sad to see Six Flags leave. And in fact, they are not only closing here, there's also a venue out in California that they're closing. So I think that the new ownership is relooking at all of its properties and making decisions on which ones they want to close. But the reality is that gives us now an opportunity to bring in users that will use the property 24/7 and 7 days a week. And so we want um, year-round users at that facility. Again, it's 500 acres, about 400 of the acres is developable, buildable. So that's a lot of property. In fact, National Harbor is 300 acres. So if you saw the amazing development we have at National Harbor, that's a huge economic engine for our county. Imagine having another 100 plus acres to develop on. You can really, I think, yield the kind of economic engine in the central part of the county that will really create jobs, opportunities, and grow our economy even more. So, again, I'm excited about the future, even though, of course, sad about losing such an iconic venue, which, of course, I used to enjoy as a child myself. So I remember
That's
the Wild Wave and all of that.
Yeah, that's the thing that makes it, I think, a great loss. I mean, here was a place that was great for families, great for young people, and it was an attraction, in the county, just like you mentioned, National Harbor, where you've got people coming from everywhere to come and spend money, to dine, to attend events and what have you. So, is that going to be sort of the priority of what you want
Oh,
to do
yes. I
in this
mean,
space?
if you think about it, the venue itself was great
Hmm.
for use for the people who came to use, the theme park. But there are a lot of people who didn't want to go to a theme park.
Right.
Um, so I think and I think they set on about 100 or so acres that entire um, uh, the Six Flags was about maybe a little over 100 acres. So if you really think about it, there were other uses that we probably could have had on that parcel, which would have generated more revenue for us. So I'm looking at ways of attracting investors who want to develop, attractions, major attractions that will attract people from other parts of the country or even internationally, but also provide the restaurant, retail, hotels, and other amenities at the venue where we can actually yield more revenue than just the people who are visiting the park. And so I think that probably was one of the reasons why the park wasn't even more successful, because those who came to use the park facility had to drive a distance to stay at a hotel, or oftentimes they would leave and just go back home. So we didn't get the true benefit of having, travelers stay and then use patronize our restaurants and other retail at the site. So that's something that we can do differently now, as since they are leaving.
One of I'd say the elephant in the room for just about every jurisdiction, but particularly, your neighbors here in the District of Columbia and Prince George's County, with all of the changes in the federal government, and so many people are now unemployed for well-reported reasons. It's creating housing insecurity, affordability for some, but just being able to sustain the lives and the lifestyles that they've had in Prince George's County. Have you come up with any initiatives to really support some of those unemployed folks now who and a large number of them live in Prince George's County? What would you say to them about, how you're trying to look out for their interests?
Yeah, just know that we are putting together a plan to assist our federal workers. We have local job opportunities, so we invite all of our federal workers to visit the Prince George's County Employment website, which is on our government page, to check out job opportunities available in local government. We are also working with Employ Prince George's, which is our workforce development arm, to help retrain our federal workers and reposition them in the workforce, helping to connect them with private sector opportunities, as well as local and state government opportunities. The other thing that we are doing with our Financial Services Corporation, FSC First, is providing opportunities to uh, retrain our federal workers to become entrepreneurs. And so those who are interested in becoming entrepreneurs can take a multi-week course that will prepare them to do business with local government, with state government, and with the federal government, because we have a lot of talented federal workers who, through no fault of their own, have been displaced. But they have a lot of skills. Some don't want to go back into an office setting. Some may want to be entrepreneurs, and we want their skill sets to still serve us, but maybe as a contractor as opposed to an employee. So we want that too. So we will continue to build and develop resources. We know that there are going to be some who are facing difficulties paying their mortgage. So we're looking at ways to create funds to assist people. It's tough, being honest, because not only are we facing a challenge here in the county, but the state has a pretty sizable budget deficit as well. And with the cuts coming from the federal government, especially to those services that support those in need, it is going to be a challenge. But though it's a challenge, we still believe it's an opportunity for us to roll up our sleeves and see what we can do. So I think if anyone is interested or needs assistance, they can reach out to Employ Prince George's, and then, of course, FSC First, for those who are interested in starting their own business.
Well, one of the things we all know is that, we've all been in this rodeo before. It's been tough. And from small businesses, individuals, county, states, and we've been able to overcome. And Prince George's County has I think, exhibited that a lot. So you've got a lot to work with there, which is good. And two more questions, because I know you got to go and I know you got things to do, but I want to one, talk about, we talked a little bit about young people. We haven't talked about the curfew law that you all have had, and how are you going to, well, let me say this. Having talked to you, I know that you love young folks and you want to continue to empower them. I've heard you say it many times. Curfew is a reaction to something that, you've had to deal with. But let's talk about how you plan to empower young people in the county.
Well, one of the things that we believe is important is that those services that are supposed to be assisting our young people actually reach our young people. We have an award-winning park and planning commission that has parks and recreational services and facilities throughout our county. What hasn't happened, I think, is us really talking with these young people to ensure that these rec centers actually have activities that they are interested in. Because instead of being out on the streets, they could be in a rec center. So we need to make sure that we have transportation for those who need transportation, and then, of course, are providing the services that the young people may have an interest in. And so I just appointed a new chair of our Park and Planning Commission. His name may be familiar to some, Daryl Barnes, who's a former state delegate and created and ran the Bi-County Business Roundtable for a number of years. He
Yes.
also was the founder of Men Aiming Higher, which prepared our young people for success. So this is someone who has a true heart and a demonstrated commitment to young people. So I think what you'll find is that our county government will be able to work more closely with the Park and Planning Commission to ensure that our young people have structured activities that are of interest to them, that they can participate in throughout the year. So that's one of the commitments I have. In addition to that, we have a new interim superintendent who is no stranger to Prince George's County, was a deputy superintendent who really wants to connect with our nonprofit community a lot more because our schools often know those children who might go in the wrong path and who may need some additional support and assistance and enrichment. The problem has been connecting those children to real programs, and that's something that our superintendent is committed to. So, yes, we will always enforce the law. We will hold young people accountable, but I think we also need to hold ourselves accountable to them. And so we know that we have resources that are not reaching children who need it. And so it's our job to figure out how to do that. And that's what we're all committed to do.
I know this is a question I don't think you were prepared to answer, but I'm just curious. When you talk about land in the county, the faith community there, is people are finally getting ready to are coming back to church after being out from COVID and staying at home, and they're finally finding their way back into the pews. But your faith community, one, has a lot of land in the county, and they're looking for ways to grow. I'm sure, thanks to probably some of them, you're where you are today and have worked with them. But what would you tell members of the clergy and others about, what the county has in store for them, or what the expectations are from you of what the churches, the faith community can be contributing to address some of the problems that you may encounter?
Yeah, look, what I have said to everyone is that I should not and will not be the only one with good ideas. And so I know that a lot of members of our faith community have some very interesting and I think successful ideas because they've employed them at their church to help people who are in need. And so what I'm going to need from them is, their experience, their know-how, their assistance as we navigate through these very challenging times. What I can commit and promise to them is that I will be a good listener, I will be a good partner, I will help them grow and expand because the reality is our faith in a community has always been in our community the bedrock of our community. I think in so many ways we've gotten away from that. And people don't feel that connection sometimes to a church home or a family or their faith. And I can tell you that without my faith, I would not be here. That is, so true. Without my faith, I would not be able to take on some of the challenges I've been able to take on and do some of the bold things I've been able to do. So I understand the importance of having faith and having places where people can worship and talk and discuss and solve problems. And so I look forward to being partners with the faith community. In fact, we have a faith liaison, Harry Huff, who will be reaching out to our church community, and we will be holding regular town halls and meetings to figure out how and what we can do to improve their plight, because I know some of our churches are facing challenges as well. I mean, because if you think about it, when you have individuals who are in need of a job because they've lost employment, many of those individuals are connected to churches. Right. And so they may not be able to tithe as regularly because of some of the challenges that they're facing. And so I think we're all in this together. Just, I want the church community to know that, the faith community to know that we're all in this together, and that I will be a big partner of theirs because I know how important they are to us. And as they look to build and develop, especially for affordable housing, a lot of them want to build affordable housing for seniors, for individuals with disabilities. I am going to work with them because I know that we need it. I know that we need to increase our housing stock. We need to diversify opportunities for people who want to live here in Prince George's County. So I would say to the faith community, I'm going to be your biggest partner.
Wonderful. Well, before we close, I have two more questions, but one just about you. You have come, your journey has been an interesting one that folks have watched for many years, and you know, stood out as a Black woman who has traditionally held positions that, you know, were not necessarily meant for us, correct? I mean, state's attorney, now you're county executive, although you have succeeded another woman. But what would you tell not only Black women, but just young people in general, what you think your position and your role represents to them, and how can they aspire to be in the seat that you're in?
Yeah, I would say that my journey in so many ways is very unique because I'm, in some ways, people consider me a political outsider, which is kind of funny. But it's only because I've always done things my way. You know, I never was a part of a machine. Um, I got here because of my own sweat equity. And that's why I wasn't afraid to stand up sometimes and speak against even things that a Democratic administration wanted to do. When I was a state delegate, if I thought it was wrong, I had no problems being the lone voice if I needed to be the lone voice, or not taking the popular stance on something. I had no problems raising my voice when it came to issues of inequity, especially with funding for our historically Black colleges and universities. And so that probably caused a little you know,
Gee,
folks to be a little upset.
right.
But the people understood that I was always fighting for them, and I did that also as state's attorney. You know, being state's attorney, um, I was able to really reimagine what our criminal justice system should look like. Yes, we should hold people accountable, but we should also provide real opportunities for restoration. And I was able to do that, being the first state's attorney in Maryland to not only create a conviction integrity unit, which my good friend Marilyn Mosby also created, but we actually created as part of that, a sentencing review component, which reviewed old sentences of people who were absolutely guilty of the crime that they committed. But now, 20 plus years later, they are reformed human beings that they can be in our society, and our society still be safe. And I created a real pathway for those individuals to come home. And now we have nearly 100 people who have come back to our communities who thought in some cases that they would die in prison. They are now back in the community working, contributing to their family, contributing to the overall community. And it was because I took a stance that some people might say that's a little risky, but again, it's my faith that leads me always. And I believe that, you know, this was the right thing to do. And guess what? It was. And there has been no recidivism. People aren't coming back out and committing further crimes. They're really trying to figure out, like, how do I make a contribution back to my community so that other young people don't follow down this same path? Let me help my family out. Some of these men and women are parents. Some now are grandparents.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing to see God's promise of redemption be a reality and help to facilitate that. Has been a joy. And in this position that I'm holding now, you know, I'm going to continue my work with those who are returning to our community. In fact, I appointed and hired a returning citizen to actually run the returning citizens division for the county. Which sounds novel in a sense because the predecessor wasn't a returning citizen, but I thought it was so important for those who have some real credibility with a population that we want to reach, that they can see themselves in positions of power, see themselves in offices doing, great work and influencing outcomes. I mean, that's what I think anyone who has been behind the walls, that's what they need to know, that people will see them, they will see their talents and their abilities, and they will be rewarded. So it has been really a joy again being in this position, and I know my work, obviously is continues, but we're going to do great work here. We're going to expand opportunities for everyone in this community, and we will be responsive to the community. And what you'll see is an elevated Prince George's County throughout my administration.
Did you say responsive to everyone? I'm thinking of these constituencies because Prince George's has a very large international community.
Yes.
And some are, nervous, a little nervous right now about what's happening, but also it's been home to so many different nationalities. And I don't know if there's a message you have for those.
Yes. So at my investiture, in addition to, of course, the American flag, the Maryland flag, and the United States flag, I had a parade of flags representing the, you know, dozens of countries that are represented by the population here in Prince George's County. And I did that on purpose and for a reason. And that reason is because we are such a dynamic county because of our diversity. I'm a part of that, right? My father immigrated to this country from Grenada, so I am first generation. We have a pretty large Caribbean community, growing and very large African community. In fact, about 40% of all businesses in Prince George's County are owned by continental Africans. We have a large Hispanic population here, and we have a growing AAPI population. So, Prince George's County is very diverse. And in fact, we have a native population here too. So we have a pretty diverse county, and we speak lots of different languages. And so we will continue to reach out to all sectors of our community to let them know that we care about them, that we have their back. I did that as state's attorney. I had a multicultural commission. I'll have another commission here as county executive, where we go to faith-based activities in our diverse community, that we go to community and cultural events, that we host events in their native languages so that they can understand the services of government. And then they have people who they can connect with here in our government who will understand their needs and can understand them and speak with them. So I think all of that is important. And I will continue that work that I did as state's attorney in this new role as county executive.
So before we go, County Executive Braveboy, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you would like to share with our viewers?
Just that, we will have regular virtual town halls where residents in our community can, just speak to us, let us know what's going on in their communities, give us advice, let us know what street we missed and that we need to go back and clean up. We want the government to really be responsive to people, and the only way we can do that is by actually talking to people. And we're not going to be afraid to hear the people's voices when they're happy, when they're upset, when they have an idea. We want to hear it all. So just look out for those starting in the fall. We'll have regular town halls so that people can connect directly with me as well as with agencies of government.
And how will they access?
We'll be sending out, we'll send out, robo text as well as social media postings to get the word out when we'll host these town halls so that folks can register and be a part of the conversation.
Wonderful. So one more time, your theme for Prince George's County is?
Elevate Prince George's.
All right. Thank you, County Executive Aisha Braveboy, for your time and leadership. And we look forward to watching your impact on Prince George's County as time goes on. Congratulations
Thank you.
again, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.